And for more on El Chapo's escape, we're joined by Jonathan Gilliam in New York City. He is a former U.S. Navy SEAL and currently advises many countries' counter-narcotics units. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome back to the show.
You got it. Thanks for having me.
You know, the arrest of Guzman was a huge get for the Mexican government last year, but he has escaped before. So is it any surprise that he escaped again with a seemingly elaborate plan?
Absolutely not a surprise. I mean, you know, capturing these guys probably is one of the hardest things you can do. But I would say keeping Guzman especially is going to be one is very, very difficult. His power, the amount of money that he has, and the amount of individuals that he has working for him that are masters at building these tunnels. I mean, it just was not a surprise. And what struck me in that that interview that you just had, where he was talking to whoever was leading up the investigation, he said they're going to try to find out if anybody was complacent or involved with the prison. I mean, we can rule out one of those things. We know that they were complacent, and most likely somebody was involved.
What does this mean for other high-profile detainees there? Mexican authorities have made a show recently of capturing other high-profile drug lords. Do you think security will increase for them in prison?
You know, that's hard to say because really the reality is Mexico is really, there are a lot of things in that country that are just failed. And law enforcement is one of those things. You know, I was down there not too long ago doing a protection detail, and I worked in and out of Central South America as a SEAL in the Navy doing counter-narcotics training. And Mexico, the problem, a great vast majority of their law enforcement either works for the cartels or has great pressure put on them by the cartels, because they'll come in and murder part of the police force in order to get them to cooperate or force them to not react to anything. So it's going to be very difficult to see if they can make any changes whatsoever.
Do you see El Chapo going right back to the top of the Sinaloa cartel, or is there a process of lying low? Do you think there could even be a power struggle within the organization for him to get back on top?
I don't think he ever left the top. You know, from what I'm hearing and what I understand about these cartels is that it's historically they go to jail, and if they do go to jail, it's really more like a vacation spot for them. They can run everything that they're doing anyway out of there. They have such a good system in place that they can still give orders and commands, and I have no doubt that he's going to go right back to the position that he never really left. He just was incarcerated for a period of time.
Jonathan, how many different people had to be involved in an escape like this, and how do you think this will affect the Mexican government's current operations to arrest cartel members, cartel leaders?
Well, first off, you know, we know one person was involved, and that was Guzman himself. If he had, you know, somebody gave him plans and other people dug a tunnel for him, it's going to be a little bit different than, say, you know, in other, like even up here in upstate New York, where the possibility is that the prisoners did that digging themselves or at least cutting to get into the pipes. I think there's evidence here with Guzman that there was actually other individuals that were digging the tunnels and making the escape possible. And then what was the second part? What was the other question?
Do you think this will affect the government's current abilities to capture these cartel leaders?
You know, again, things are so set in place there because of the way that these cartels have changed over the years. You know, in the past, cartels existed in communities, and they helped communities thrive so the communities wouldn't give them up. Now what's happened is they've almost taken on a terroristic type attitude where they kill multiple people in towns so that the towns are afraid to react. And so that in itself has really crippled a lot of law enforcement efforts to move forward. Even when, you know, United States authorities get involved, it's just very limited on the ground level. Whether or not the presidential level or the federal level in Mexico even cooperates.
All right, Jonathan Gilliam joining us from New York. Thank you as always for your time and insight.